I read you guys had a Viking wedding.
Yeah, man. We so like, and that's the funny thing for me being like Viking Raiders or Viking experience. Like people are like, oh, well, you know, you got to be this stupid thing or whatever. But like, we are Vikings on screen and off screen. Like
what does that
in the
mean?
ring and off the ring. So Sarah and I are, well, first off, like we're nerds, right? Like just straight up, like we're big nerds. I've loved like fantasy and like, you know, fiction, stuff like that, Lord of the Rings for my entire life, right? Dungeons and Dragons, that whole thing. And like we are involved in living history during the Viking Age, right? So Viking Age living history, reenactment combat, reenactment like clothes and armor and dress. We go to Viking events. We go to like full on like like full on, like we've gone to Denmark to like the largest Viking events in the world and like gone to like live like a Viking. So like you camp in tents and cook your meals over an open fire. And then everything you're wearing is based on like Viking Age archaeology and like recreated like fabrics and textiles and stuff like that. So you're wearing like linen and wool and like all of the patterns and designs and jewelry and stuff like that. You're wearing like I've got Viking jewelry on right now. Like all this stuff is like based in Viking Age. This is actually my Viking wedding ring. I don't know if you can, but it's got like runes on it that are like saying like our initials, and it's like based on one like Viking rings that were popular in Viking Age Dublin at the time. So like, you know, 900 AD or whatever.
Is this in your blood?
No. Like I said, we're just big nerds. I have no idea. I mean, Sarah's got Irish like in her ancestry. I'm a mutt. I'm from all over, but like we just have friends that kind of introduced us to this, and we dove. This might be shocking to you, but we don't do things halfway. So we dove like head first, and like we've chased it as far as we can go. Like I actually run a local chapter based in Cleveland. I run a local chapter of Jomsborg, which is the largest international army of Vikings on the planet. We train in like Viking Age martial arts and like Viking reenactment combat, and like there's like a sport aspect of it. So like there's different like combat styles, and like we fight with like real steel swords, axes, spears, you know, swords and shields, that whole thing. Like we're training like all the time because it's real steel. So like it's potentially dangerous, right? Like cuts, bumps and bruises and stuff like that. And like, but you train really, really hard to minimize that factor.
And you've gone all in.
Dude, all in. All in. We've actually built a Viking long haul on our farm. Like,
what?
Yeah, like a actual like Viking long haul on our farm so that we can host private events like with our local group, but also like our friends groups. We host a private event every year for Viking reenactment and living history, where like we spend the week camping and living like Vikings in the woods, and then fighting. Like there's, you know, like in Europe, the scene is bigger. So like there's like, we've been on the field with like 600 fighters at one time. And like there's these giant battles that come together, and like, you know, spears and axes and stuff like that. And there's like troop movements and tactics going around, and like it's competitive. Like it's not like Civil War reenactment, like you're doing like an actual event, right? And like you're not actually shooting people with cannons or, you know, muskets or whatever. So like the South is always going to lose. You know, the North is always going to win. In the Viking Age living history stuff that we do, it's competitive. So like, if I beat you in this sword fight, right? If I hit you in a target zone, I win the fight. So like it's a very, very competitive thing. And like there's like a world championships in Denmark every year that I'm training really, really hard, because there's never been an American even in the finals of that world championships tournament. It's like a giant, they call it a circle of honor. So like 600 fighters start, and then it's like single elimination. So if you win, you keep them fighting. If you lose, you just go to the outside and you watch. And there's never even been an American that's been in the finals. And like my goal as a Viking fighter is I want to be just in the finals. Even if I don't win that championship, I want to be in the finals. I want to be the first American to go and like just compete for that championship. And like That's there's a Viking market called Sletten every year in Denmark. So like that's my like one like thing. Like I know Woods goes to like Dragon Con every year. Like that's his like biggest like, hey, I'm gonna do this outside of wrestling. That's my like biggest passion outside of wrestling.
I love the passion you speak.
Yeah, dude, it's completely taken over our lives. And like when we started, I told Sarah, like, cause she was kind of the driving force behind it. Like so I had been going to Renaissance festivals when I lived in Texas. There was a giant one outside of Houston. It's the biggest in the world. And I'd gone to that for like 8 years. And it was cool. I would dress up as like a barbarian, like fur, and it would really looked a lot like the Viking Raiders outfit, to be honest. This was back in like 2014, so way before the Viking Raiders. And like fur and leather and Conan stuff. And it was cool. It was fun. You know, like I said, big nerd is what it is. But like, Sarah, when I started dating Sarah, I took her to one of the Renaissance festivals and we just had a ball. And she's like, man, we need to do this more. And we had some mutual friends who were trying to like push us or entice us into this Viking thing. And I was like, dude, we don't have time for this. Like, we don't have time for this. We can't do this because it's going to take too much time. And Sarah was like, no, I think it'll be okay. What if we just do one event a year? What if we just do one event? And I was like, yeah, we'll see. So like we met some people and they put swords on our hands and we're like, hey, do you want to fight? And started training us how to fight. And then we like made time. Like we literally reorganized our entire lives to become Vikings. So like we had a bunch of hobbies outside of Vikings before and now we don't. It's just Vikings. We go home, we're farmers, parents, and Vikings. And most of those things like are connected, right? Like we bring our kids, like our kids have little Viking outfits. Like we've got like essentially like Viking daycare where like all the other parents, cause there's in our local group, there's a ton of like kids, parents and kids, and they all play together. And like a lot of them have little like foam or leather, like little swords and shields and stuff like that. And like when we go to Denmark, like our friends over there have kids. So like the kids just play together and they don't even speak the same language, but they all play together and they're having a I love. Wow. Yeah. It's wild. Like it goes deep. So
it's not just a gimmick. Wow.
No. Yeah. It's 100%.
I didn't think we would spend this much of this conversation talking about actual Vikings.
Yeah. So, but then we did like a Viking wedding, like, and that was your original question, right? I went way down the rabbit hole. Right. We did a Viking age wedding where like, we kind of researched traditional like 10th century like Viking ceremonies and wedding ceremonies and like what were kind of the norms and what was written and what was whatever. And like we struggled because like the Vikings weren't they didn't write a lot of things down. So a lot of things we know about their culture back then was and like Vikings is a weird term. It was Norse people or Scandinavian people, whatever. I'm sure that the internet is going to kill me for that. But it is, we don't have a lot of, specific firsthand written stuff. It was stuff written about them. So we found some stuff and then we blended it with like modern traditions and stuff like that. So like one of the things that we found in sagas was like the father of the bride would often give the groom a sword. And that gift was to signify that he was now the protector of the family, right? Or the protector of the bride. So Sarah's dad at our wedding, like right before we said our vows, gifted me a sword and like gave and on the sword was like engraved like eternal protection. So like he was like, this is, you're now taking care of my daughter and you're going to be protecting her. This is the sword to do it with. And then like what my parents and we gifted Sarah was a brass or like a golden key. And the key was symbolized that she was now running that, responsible for the house and the home. And like this was all done like in traditional, Viking ways. Like these were the traditional gifts given to the bride and the groom. So we did those, we replicated them. And then like everybody who came like dressed up like Vikings. WWE actually came and brought cameras to the wedding because when we were both in WWE, I was in NXT, she was on the main roster. And we told them about it and they were like, could we film that? Like, this sounds cool. And so it's on YouTube. Like you can go find like highlight videos of our Viking wedding. And it's crazy because like people like, you know, and a bunch of wrestlers came out like, you know, like Shayna and Nixon and, you know, Ruby and Liv were there. And like, dude, there's a whole bunch of people and everybody played along. Everybody dressed up like Vikings. Everybody had like torches at the ceremony. Like it was,
That's so cool.
it was a really, really, really fun time.
Man.